Joanna, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to visit an island that we have visited many times. I actually have lost count how many times we've been to this particular island, but it probably is still top one of our favorites. Now that we've seen all the islands in the Cook Islands, Aitutaki, which is the island we are now, used to be our number one. Now we have a little bit of doubt, which is number one, but it still stays an amazing, amazing island to visit.
And I mean, it's always on the list of the most beautiful lagoon on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Rarotonga and Aitutaki, this is what you hear about, and so you might have heard, you might have read a lot of information, and we are not out and want to give you or people out there what they already know. We've been there so many times and on so many remote places on this remote lagoon. We can give you some very special. First of all, arriving on Aitutaki. For those ones who have been there, well known, it is a kind of usual airstrip. It's paved.
Yeah, so it's the only other island other than Rarotonga with a paved airstrip. It's the only one that has daily flights coming and going to it.
It's a very neat airport area. It's a house, not a hut like the others, and but still, like on the other islands, it's just open if the planes are arriving and departing, which is several times a day compared to the other islands, just a few times per week.
So on this island, you can hire cars, you can hire scooters. Typically, your accommodation will pick you up. If it's larger accommodation with some sort of bus, if it's smaller accommodation, it'll be the owner, which typically runs the small accommodation, pick you up.
Also easy for you to find your way, so the roads are pretty good. There are petrol stations around, a lot of shops where you can find stuff, and this is, compared to the other islands, really a big difference.
Several shops for basic supplies.
Yes,
we could say maybe one shop with a bit more,
true.
Bit of trinkets and curios and that sort of thing. So a little bit about the different types of accommodation. The first time we went there, we stayed on Kiami, which is one of the motos. Very basic. You would need to stock up on everything you would need to survive before going to this island. So you'd go to the local shop. The owner of the accommodation, they would take you out, pack it all in. You're out there for 7 days, so you need to pack very carefully. They have a generator which runs during the day, off at night, so there's a fridge. So you really have to plan very carefully what you're going to be taking to survive the 7 days. Obviously, on the island, there's things like coconut and so on one can enjoy permanent, continuously. So this was very basic, but it was you on this motor on your own in the middle of amazing blue lagoon. From there, being in the center of the lagoon, it's amazing that we took the kayaks, or a kayak, a double kayak, and from there we kayaked all the way out to One Foot Island, to Slice of Heaven, all amazing places. But we did it before the crowd got there, all those tours that I mentioned earlier. And when you're on those sort of places all on your own, it's completely different experience. And also when we hired the water taxis or the smaller tour operators, where it's only like 2 or 3 people on there, we also went out at the times when it was very quiet out there. And then some of the other interesting motors is we discovered when we stayed at the Lagoon and Spa Resort, which is another amazing place, which amazing view of the lagoon. Every morning you just see this crystal clear blue turquoise lagoon. Amazing. As from there, we again would kayak out to the neighboring motors called which is largely undiscovered. It's got amazing little pools one could swim in, and away from everything and everybody. So beautiful.
The Aitutaki Lagoon Resort where we stayed, it's already located on the first motu on the eastern side of Aitutaki. So you actually start from there and you can row downwards. I mean, it's too far to go to One Foot Island because don't underestimate, it's a 5-kilometer lagoon and you can't row that easy if the wind's coming up and waves and so on, but you can discover the upper part of it, and this is what we did. So starting on the motu, going to the next motus, and as Pietro said, just rowing to the next one, you're already completely on your own, and just take water with you, a little bit of supplies, and you can spend the whole day, and then whenever you want, you're going back.
Typically does,
what you do exactly. But we just went ahead. So actually, we discovered also the areas in between, which are amazing spots, which are nowhere mentioned and no travel guide if there are any about that. And Mangere, which is the next motu to E. So yeah, we've seen some great places.
Well, we've been on every moto in Aitutaki
anyway, yeah.
Which most of us don't do. And then we stayed on the main island a couple of times as well. We stayed at Gina's Garden Lodge, which was in the center, a beautiful lush garden as well. The other occasion we stayed on the
outside?
The outer side, not lagoon facing, but ocean facing. And that was a wonderful accommodation as well, called Tamano Beach.
Also one of our customers and friends.
Sure. So there was a completely different experience, a completely different view, which surprised us. We thought you really need to be on the lagoon side, but on that side it's just as amazing.
About accommodation, we have a very special one for you, which is located on One Foot Island, and it's a 2-storage huts where you can spend the night on this
several nights if you want.
Several nights, but you can spend nights on this extraordinary place. That's an adventure.
Aitutaki is an island you go to you need to do a little bit of something, maybe a bit of canoeing, maybe a bit of kayaking and snorkeling, or maybe a bit of spearfishing, or maybe a bit of kite surfing, but mostly you go there to do nothing and just enjoy the view. So many times we just laid there and just for hours looking out at this amazing view in awe.
Last time we went there was the first time that we went to the highest point, so we got another view which we haven't had before. So the all around the lagoon, and one of the islands where there's also lagoon entertainment. So you'll have to go to the lagoon. That's it. And there are a lot of tour operators that offering a water taxi service only to drop you off somewhere. That are showing you the lagoon, particular places, taking you out for spearfishing or doing day tours. There are a lot of options.
Yep, there's a couple of big operators, one owned by Air Rarotonga, which you can actually do a day visit from Rarotonga to Aitutaki, out on the lagoon and back again. And then there's other larger tour operators that can take you around the lagoon as well, Bishop Tours. And then there's these smaller operators, and those are typically the ones we prefer because you can ask what you want to experience and they will take you to places where the big tour operators never go, and that's what we like.
Exactly. And the good news is that many of them are good friends to us because we've been on the islands a lot and they have been into our shop a lot. So
our shop being the dive and surf shop, the only dive and surf shop in the Cook Islands, in Rarotonga, in the main center.
Right. So we're all supplying all these operators with equipment for snorkeling and spearfishing, and so
and not just the operators,
we got to know them.
The big hotel groups as well.
Yeah. So this is how we got to know a lot of people on Aitutaki. We have a lot of detailed information about all the tour operators on the islands and the very special things on
all
Aitutaki.
In the ebook.
All in our ebook.
Being on those motors, each one again their own little character, beautiful place.
Not to forget, if you're talking about, let's say, the most beautiful lagoon on earth, it's about the water, it's about the colors, it's about the sand strips everywhere. It's not just the beaches, it's about these kind of sandbanks which are connected to the motors, which you can at low tide walk over or you row, and you're so blinded by the colors and you're in the same way so fascinated. I always said I can just sit there and watch the scenery. Jumping into the water and there's nobody around.
Mm-hmm.
It's
especially
great.
The waters at Slice of Heaven. It's like 3 different colors coming together. and we had lunch there with Captain Fantastic
Andrew,
Andrew,
one of our
and the
friends.
amazing lunches they would prepare. They prepare on the island grilled bananas and fish and all sorts of pawpaw salads and amazing things. Oh, beautiful. It was really lovely lunches as well.
Yeah, and so this is the way you get to know the lagoon, because if you go with different people, they are owning different places. So you're going with the landowners and they take you to their places, and this is how you get to know where they live and how they live, and the way they are cooking and preparing food. And that's part of the big experience on Aitutaki. They show you their special places in the ocean, where to spearfish, where to find the giant clams, where to snorkel with a Napoleon fish, and all these great things to do there.
Unlike the other outer islands of the Cook Islands, on Aitutaki, there's several restaurants and pubs and cafes one can enjoy. We've sampled a few of those. Typically, we would enjoy the accommodations, which has got some really good restaurants. But there's a few scattered on the lagoon, which is the one that I'm thinking of.
Blue Lagoon.
Thank you, Blue Lagoon. Some nice local beers that you can have there and sit there for hours and enjoy a different view of the lagoon.
And by saying that, I mean, having Aitutaki on one of the hotter spots of the Cook Islands with some more tourists around, this is a place where you can't just go visit and write about restaurants and hotels and put it in an ebook and leave it like that, because this is really developing. So if you read on it on, I don't know, travel guides, which are, 2-3 years old, so many things have changed. You really have to stay up to date on that.
You go to the Cook Islands, you don't go to the Aitutaki, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you need help.
And we tried to get it all summarized in, I don't know how much it was, 10 to 15 minutes, but there's so much to say. This is why.
And so much not to say. You've got to experience it.
Exactly. But there are so many, as we said, very special tips we also want to share with you. So if you go on our website, social medias, and if you read the ebook, you get all these hidden places also from this spectacular lagoon.
Take a look at our book. Take a look at all our other videos, all the other islands we've been to in the Cook Islands, all special, all amazing in their own way and in their own right. So stay tuned.
And as they say on Aitutaki, Metaki Atupaka.